Are you cooking a holiday dinner in your RV? This is the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt, and we are in, believe it or not, Louisiana. I guess we're going to have some gators for Christmas this year. Okay, will there be room for the best part, the leftovers? Our guest today is an expert in storage, and she is here today to show you how to put everything away so I can have it tomorrow.
That is your favorite part, is the leftovers. And for a lot of us, we love leftovers. But those of us who live in an RV, whether you're just traveling in an RV for the holidays or you're like Dan and I, we live in our RV full time. This is our third holiday season. And we're looking forward to learning about how to store those leftovers, because I haven't done great at it, I will say. But Dan and I do travel full time, and we have been across the country three times, four times, 5 times. I don't even know. You lose count after a while. We have spent holidays in several places. This year, we're going to be on the road in the RV, so we're going to need all the tips that we are getting today. And like you said, here we are in Louisiana, the first time in this state. And that's, so far it's cool. We're going to dinner tonight at a seafood place.
Ooh,
I'm excited.
You must be happy. Yeah,
I am happy.
Well, I'm going to say that we have upgraded our RV. So we now have a residential refrigerator. As a matter of fact, this refrigerator is bigger than the last house that we had, the refrigerator we had in that last house. So I'm not real concerned anymore. But for those of you that still have the RV refrigerators, the kind that run on propane or electric or whatever you got, I got to tell you, if I still had that original refrigerator we had in this RV, I don't know how we would put away what I want to cook for this holiday season.
Yeah, I guess the last few years we just planned around the small refrigerator. So we'll see what kind of food. If you're on the road where we are, maybe you need to stop by and eat some of that stuff.
Well, our guest today is going to show us how to do it most efficiently. And I have got to say, before we get started, this woman has changed our life. There is not, and I'm dead serious when I say there's not a day that goes by, not one day that we don't do something in our RV and she hasn't been a part of telling us how to do it or where to do it or what to do. I so miss the time that we have out on the road where we were able to spend, a few days together. And let's get on with the next part of our show. That sound means it's time for today's fun fact. Now, our fun fact segment is brought to you by Open Road Resorts, with 4 great locations in Montana, Idaho, and yes, Texas. We were just there last week, and man, it was beautiful. Sunsets there were absolutely breathtaking. We loved the camp. We loved the people at that campground.
Yes. And we got to meet the owner. Chase Becker is one of the owners of the Dallas Northeast Campground. And as Dan said, there are 4 of them. And this is just a fantastic location. The spots in this place are awesome. We happen to be on a cement pad, which was huge, like huge. It fit our 40-foot, it fit the car, and we could have put another small trailer on it.
And it was a pull through. We came in,
yes.
This is the first time in 2.5 years that we showed up to a campground after dark.
We did. And we were exhausted and we pulled in. We were totally level. When does that ever happen? I mean, we were level, didn't even unhook the car. We hooked up the electric, didn't hook up the water, anything. We just got in bed and went to sleep. And it was wonderful to be able to pull into this place. They have activities there. The grounds are manicured beautifully. Picnic tables, fire. It was a fire cauldron type thing. It wasn't a ring. It was like a cauldron, I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing place to stay. And if you are looking for a place in the Dallas area. It's right outside Dallas. This is the place you want to go. And it's called Dallas Northeast. But I know you're looking at me.
We love this place. As you can tell, we have a 60-second commercial for the sponsorship of this. And we just did 2 minutes on the advertiser. So
forget advertising. I just love it.
They are part of our family. They're part of the RV Life family. They are just great people. The kind of people that you want to do business with, and the kind of people when you go on your vacation, you want to stay with.
Yes, absolutely. So now let's get to the fun fact. This is an amazing fact. In the U.S. grows 1.5 billion, with a B, pounds, 1.5 billion pounds of pumpkins each year. That just blew me away. That's a fun fact. That's just mind blowing. That's a lot of pumpkin. I like pumpkin seeds, but I don't like pumpkin anything else. I know a lot of people.
Pumpkin pie, not one of my favorites.
No, pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice, pumpkin lattes. No, thank you.
Well, those things are all very, very popular.
Yes.
And I'm sure with 1.5 billion pounds of pumpkin pies out there, there's going to be a lot of those left over.
Yes.
Now, when I was young, when I was just a little boy, my grandfather and grandmother had this pie thing that you would put a pie into it, and then you put the top on, and then you clamp it down, and you could even take that pie to somebody's house because it had a handle on top. So I will bet we're staying here at our friend Elizabeth McKenzie's house. I'll bet you that if I go out in that kitchen, I'll find one of those pie carriers.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. And if we find one, we will post it on social media. Okay. But I'm excited. I want to hear what our guest has to say so we could cook our food and leave our leftovers. And I can't wait. I'm getting excited.
Our guest today and her family lived on the road for a little over 3 years. She's a mom, and yes, she's a storage expert who pins the blog BG Barnstormer, where there's a wealth of information about making the best of your space, even if it's in an RV. But it works in a house and everything else too. She has changed my life every day when I shower. I thank her. I'm like, Robin, thank you for suggesting this because it's so easy to take a shower in that little teensy tiny RV shower these days. Robin, welcome to the show. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but hopefully you're still there.
Yep, I'm still here. Thanks all for having me.
You are welcome. So let's jump in. Now, let's get your background story because Dan kind of gave it and let's just fill it in. We met you on the road in Las Vegas probably 2 years ago. It's been, wow. Tell us.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
And so we met you and your kids, and we did meet your husband. We did meet him for a few minutes as he was passing in and out.
Yeah.
So tell us about RV life. 3 years full time on the road. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So my husband is a commercial airline pilot and he worked for one of the major airlines. And so when we hit the road, it was strictly because we weren't sure where we were going to live. And at the time we lived in Virginia and we weren't sure what airline he was going to work for or where our base would be. And for anybody who's not familiar with aviation, airline pilots don't always live in base, but if you do, it makes family life a little bit more convenient. So that's why my husband would come, drop the rig, get us set up in what I call princess parking, which is an RV park with full hookups if possible. Mm-hmm. And then he'd go out on a 3 or 4 day trip. And so I think you saw him getting back, if I remember right, in Vegas. You got to meet him right before we had to leave. And so you're like, I didn't really hang out with the hubs. It's because he kind of comes and goes. Now we have switched to part-time travel. We have a kiddo who has some therapy needs. And so we are in the Colorado area and my husband's job has switched to a simulator instructor. And so we get to see him quite a bit more. And next time, you guys, that we connect, he will be with us because now our RV travels, he doesn't have to leave, which is fantastic.
That's awesome. So you're now part-time. So part-time in the house, part-time in the RV. That transition had to be crazy. I want to start with.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I bet. And I want to start with Dan said there's not a day that he walks by that he doesn't think of you and he thinks about you in the shower. So I just want to get this clear with our audience before we move forward. When we met you, you came into the RV and you helped us with some storage issues, including in the shower. So can you just tell people a little bit about that? Because I think so many people struggle with that.
Sure. We have 3 kiddos that we travel with, and all of the kids are different heights, different sizes. Some of them can reach the top shelf. Some of them can't reach any shelves. And so when I talk about storage in the shower, a lot of times people are like, the shampoo, which is what Dan always talked about. The shampoo is always falling on my foot. So we gave you this basket and we had ordered it. And when you're on the road, it's not as easy to know exactly what's going to fit in your rig. So I had ordered a bunch of things. This one didn't seem to work in our rig that we had at the time. And so I said, well, hey, if you guys want it, go ahead. And it sticks up to the wall of the shower. And it's just a little basket, your shampoo bottles and everything fit in it. So when Dan says he thinks about me every day in the shower, it's because I make him not have a shampoo bottle fall on his foot. And so Dan, you are welcome. I am grateful that not only have I changed your life, but you're also not having any more injuries with shampoo bottles.
Yes, absolutely. And it is this mesh. It's like mesh. So you can put your bottles in, the water flows through. You don't have to worry about puddling. I'll take a picture of it. I'll put it on our social media. It has been a lifesaver.
It really, really has been. And, you also, not only the shower, I don't just think of you in the shower, although it's my favorite place to think of you, but above my computer, above my desk, like every RV in the world, there's all these compartments. And they were a mess. I mean, there's no two ways. They just had junk coming out of them. Every time you opened them up, it was like that worst closet nightmare. There are things just compiling down on your face. Well, you figured out a way to organize that section that, we went to, TJ Maxx or something like that and bought those plastic bins. So now I have a plastic bin for the DJI drone. And so all the stuff for the drone is in that one spot. And all the stuff for the GoPro cameras is in one spot. And it's very easy to see. And it's so organized. And I just go, oh.
Yeah. And Dan's talking about it. What was the saying? Because, I think very logically about where things go. And it's sometimes difficult in an RV. But what you're saying about keeping friends together, the stuff in the RV together, what's that saying?
Yeah. So I say, like things or friends should go together. So for example, your coffee mugs should go near your coffee pot, which should go near the coffee filters, which should probably go near anything else coffee related. And so you're not running around your RV. So in Dan's case, with all of his computer and other things that he uses for business, then you get the tub down, you get what you need, and then you can put the tub back up. And that's really helpful, especially for kids and teaching them how to get things organized or, how to make sure everything has a home, and also to make sure that every time you move your RV, not everything is getting shuffled. It's like literally a live earthquake every time you move. So if it's in a tub or a bin, it's so much easier because then once you get parked and set up, you're not like, oh my gosh, everything fell over. It's already in the tub and the bin and it didn't get mixed up with the other cords.
Right. And it's been such a help, such a big help finding things.
Now, Robin, in our notes here, we call you an expert. But in my opinion, we need to redub you as the organization God. Because I got to tell you, it's goddess.
It would be goddess. Yeah, goddess.
Well, it's just so incredible. A lot of people would say, I don't need to have an organizing person come into my RV and tell me what to do. And my answer to that is yes, you do, because you have no idea what life looks like before and after an organizing person comes and talks to you. So if you have an RV and you get the opportunity to A, read Robin's blog, or B, have her in to do an evaluation, oh my God, changed our lives.
It truly did. And I got to say, again, Robin was on almost a year ago. I'll post the episode because she gave so many great organizing tips, but it was something simple. You came in, Robin, and I have a huge drawer for silverware. I know not a lot of people can say that, but it's, a huge drawer for the silverware and the flippers and the spatula and all that. But within the drawer is the organizer thing for those, knives, forks, spoons, but it was pushed to the back of the drawer, or it was pushed forward and the back of the drawer is now not being used. So Robin just took this organizer and turned it around and pushed it to the back. And so I could grab the fork, knife, spoon, but still have room in the front. And if people can't visualize that, I will put pictures in. But again, life changing. We live in these tight, small spaces, and every RVer has this struggle. So now, Robin, we're gonna get you in talking about storage for the holidays. Most of us are planning
Absolutely
all different types of holidays, whatever the holiday is. Dan once
I'm cooking a 50-pound turkey, and I have mashed potatoes and green bean casserole and marshmallow covered yams. I'm telling you, I'm going to do the whole 9 yards. 10 pounds of corn. We're gonna do it all. What do I do after I cook all this stuff?
Absolutely. Well, the biggest thing is number one, talking about storage, we had our very first RV had one of those little refrigerators. Our second RV had, more like you guys had the residential side. And then now our current RV, we're back to the small fridge. So absolutely, storage can be tricky. My biggest tip with that is to find storage containers that fit in your fridge. For example, they should stack. In my opinion, squares or rectangles are the best because they're going to fit well in your fridge and they're going to use up that space very economically for your fridge, because if you have circles, you're kind of wasting some space in the back. And so if you're making a whole bunch of mashed potatoes, having nesting glass storage containers. My personal favorite is Pyrex. I've bought them for the rig. I have them for my home, and they stack in different sizes. So like maybe your mashed potatoes, you have a whole bunch of left over, and then your smaller container, maybe you have a little bit of green bean casserole and then another smaller one, and they're going to fit on different shelves in different spaces. And so that way, not only are you using your fridge space effectively, but you're also able to stack your fridge well and also see what's in it. Because let's be real, how many times have you, I forgot that was in the back and I couldn't see it. So that's another tip, is have a glass or clear see-through container that you can use. Now, I know some people really like to use like plastic bags or Ziploc bags or freezer bags. And those can be helpful as well, depending on what storage space you have in your fridge. But also just thinking about, making sure you're ready to put those leftovers in something. Because a lot of times people don't think about it. And then they're like, I don't know what I'm going to put it in. And that's also just being prepared to make sure you have the right containers to put it in your fridge and use that space well.
Now, Patty has been complaining over the last couple of weeks that she wants to find plastic containers. You talked about glass. We have a set of glass. They're big and they're heavy and they're bulky.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she goes into the closet that these things are in, she's moving this around to get to this or moving that around to get to that. Is there a plastic sealable solution that's affordable?
There probably are some different brands. I don't have any off the top of my head specifically because it kind of depends on what you want for quality. I mentioned glass because the Pyrex ones that I have, it's like a 11 cup, a 6 cup, and a 3 cup storage container. And the reason I like glass specifically is because then I can put them in the toaster oven or in your RV oven, and I don't have to transfer it to something else to warm it up. Now, if you have a plastic container that you want to do, of course, they've got Ziploc and other brands, Rubbermaid, and, at different stores. The trouble that I find personally with those is that sometimes they're not always well shaped. A lot of times they're circle or, they kind of taper in at the bottom and then don't use up the fridge space really well, versus the glass ones that are, pretty symmetrical and go vertical and use that space well. Another thing people will use are reusable bags. And I know Patty and I previously talked about them, and some people really like them, some people don't. My only suggestion on bags is pay attention to what you're putting in them and how you're storing them, especially like soups and liquids, because I have been guilty of thinking that, that bag's sealed, and then it didn't, and now I have a mess all over my fridge. So that's something to kind of consider as well. But as far as plastics go, I just think that a lot of them will seal really well. I just tend to find, for me and my family, I don't want to have to transfer it to something else to warm up, especially for the oven.
Right.
I have put, to Robin's point, these are the new thing out there. I put stuff in there, and then I'll be honest, it was in the back of the refrigerator. I forgot about it. I can't see through them, and I couldn't get the smell out of them. So now I'm spending, in an RV, all this water and rinsing and trying to get the soap and the smell out. So I don't know that I'm convinced. We've got a couple more, and we'll try them maybe for some other things. But I do want to go back to the glass. Now that you're saying it, and you're saying square and not round, I think my problem, and like you said, we don't want to heat up stuff in a plastic container. It's not the best thing to do in a microwave. So maybe I need to downsize and get rid of some of the other, because I have so many different storage things. I have round ones of every size. I have square, I have plastic, I have glass, rectangle.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of everything.
Probably too many. Probably part of the problem,
Yeah.
right?
So one thing that I would recommend, and we are a family of 5, and my kids are ages 9, 11, and 13. And I love to cook. I love to eat. I love to bake. I don't even actually have a pie pan, and I only make brownies in pie pans traditionally. Like that's my favorite way to make brownies because I don't like the edge pieces, and then I have less edge pieces. So there's a little pro tip for you.
Wait. Hold on. I can't let that just go by. You don't like the edge of a brownie? That's un-American,
I'm
girl.
the gooey center. Well, then I guess I'm un-American. But no, I like the gooey middles. And so I'm the person that's cutting the edges off of the brownie, and I just like eat the middle. So you know what, Dan? Actually, this is great. We can eat brownies together because you can eat the edges and then I can eat the middle. So this is actually perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway, but with the containers, so when I have these, for example, Pyrex is the brand that I had found at the store when I was looking. I actually have their rectangle, and like I said, there's 3 in the set usually, or maybe at different places have different sizes. But I had a set of 3, and now in our rig, I actually have 2 sets just because of our storage space that we have. I have room for them. But then I had like a 9x13, and then I had whatever the next size down is. So I have like a big 9x13, a smaller one that fits inside of it, and they both have lids, and then the smaller, like the nesting Pyrex. And then that's it. I don't have a lot of pans because I find that having the extra, I'm just not using them. I don't bake a lot of cakes. I don't do a lot of cupcakes. And even so, like with cupcakes, I got the silicone, like those paper cups that they have, but I got a silicone stack of them, and I can put those on a pan, like a cookie sheet.
Yep.
And then I have like my little pan that goes in my oven. I can do like a 3x4, and then I can make my cupcakes or muffins or whatever for the kids. And then I don't actually have a muffin pan in my rig. And so that's another tip, is just to think about like, what are you using? How often do you use it? How does it stack? If it doesn't stack, you may or may not want to keep it. It just kind of depends on what you do for your family. And that muffin tin trick is one that I found on accident because my kids are like, Mom, I want a muffin tin. I was like, well, I don't have room for one. So how can we still get something that is going to work, but I literally don't have room for a muffin tin. So I think it kind of depends on what you're using, and just remembering, like, if you have, maybe something in a 9x13 dish, once you make it, can you transfer it to something smaller, or are you going to use all of it? Because that may or may not fit in your fridge well either. So sometimes having, multiple smaller dishes might actually be better for an RV than some larger ones.
Okay, this is great information. I'm so excited. A lot of what I just heard is I really need to go in that cabinet, take everything out, make sure it's nesting, make sure I'm using it, make sure it's needed, and really downsizing. But we do need to go to break. And after the break, we're going to talk more about downsizing, finding the things that really work. We're going to talk about storing holiday decorations, and we're going to talk about cooking in a small kitchen and so much more right after this break.
The most important part of your RV is the roof. If your roof leaks, your trip and your RV get ruined. You can take it to a dealership or service center to be maintained at their expensive rates. Or you can maintain it yourself over a weekend for a fraction of the cost. Liquid Rubber RV roof products will keep you dry and leak-free. Visit shopliquidrubber.com/RVLife. Use coupon code RVLifePod15 off to save 15%. That's shopliquidrubber.com/RVLife.
National Indoor RV Centers with over 1,000 motorhomes available across multiple locations. National Indoor RV Centers continues to provide an outstanding, hassle-free motorhome ownership experience. National Indoor is the #1 Newmar dealer in the nation and also features brands like Integra, Winnebago, and much more. Visit NIRVC.com and become a part of the National Indoor RV Centers family.
We are so happy that we've been accepted into the RV family of NIRVC because we love these guys, and we were able to spend a few hours with Brett last week. Brett Davis, who is the owner of NIRVC. We spent a couple hours with them. We went to their Dallas facility. I have never seen a dealership facility this large, this big, this under control. It's just amazing.
Truly is amazing. And what is more important to us than anything else is the leadership and the integrity. And Brett Davis is just a real person, an amazing person. I would have him for Thanksgiving dinner if he wanted to come. Just that kind of person. And they're the type of people we surround ourselves with, like Robin. So now, getting back to it, because I'm getting excited about this big Thanksgiving dinner that you want to do. And I'm a little concerned about all the leftovers and, holiday. When Dan makes mashed potatoes, it doesn't matter how many people, Robin, maybe you could relate. It doesn't matter how many people he's cooking for. He makes like 3 or 4 pounds of it. So as you can imagine, we're going to have a lot of leftovers, and we are going to talk a little bit. Well, let's start now. Let's talk a little bit about some freezer solutions, because I'm not going to be able to keep all of that mashed potatoes in the fridge. So do you have some freezer solutions for us?
Yeah. So first of all, knowing, number one, how many people you're cooking for, and if there's anything in advance that you can make ahead. So for example, in my experience, potatoes aren't really something that I can make ahead and freeze. But if I have like a soup or something that I want to make ahead, that is a really great thing to make ahead and freeze. And basically what I'll do with something for the freezer is I'll make a batch of soup, put it in like a Ziploc bag, lay that bag on a cookie sheet, and then put the cookie sheet in my freezer laying flat. So what's going to happen is you're able to have that, space. It's a flat area. And then once it freezes, then it's going to fit in your freezer better. And as far as like mashed potatoes, for example, you want to make sure that you're going to make as many as you want, not only for the meal, but have a few left over. And then also realize that you're probably going to be traveling and or not be able to eat mashed potatoes for 5 days straight. So just to remember not to waste the food. You want to be able to make sure that you can use it up. So just being cognizant about not only how much you make, but also like you said, where are you going to store it? What are you going to do with it? And so just really thinking about that before you go through the trouble to make it all, so that you're not having to waste food later.
I will never waste mashed potatoes, because I can make a mashed potato pancake out of the leftover mashed potatoes. I can have them for lunch. I can have them for dinner, and I can have them for that late night snack. I just love
in your case,
my mashed potatoes.
You're not going to worry about it then, Dan. You're not going to have leftovers for very long. So in your case, I think you could have an entire 9x13 and you'd be fine.
Wow, let's not get carried away here, Robin. And I love that idea.
But Robin said I could.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to hear. I definitely like that idea of the Ziploc bags, because then it is flat, instead of trying to put a container in there. I love
you guys
that.
keep talking about flat.
Flat.
Yeah, well, you're leaving out the whole Airstream part of the world. Nothing is flat in an Airstream. It's all curves.
Yeah, well, that might be a whole nother type of story for, a whole nother show. I don't know much about Airstreams. So let's also talk now about, we have small kitchen space. Are there storage and solutions for working in that small space? We talked about like the soup could be pre-cooked. Are there any other solutions for this small kitchen cooking?
Yeah,
I'm going to call it.
For sure. I think the biggest thing about holiday cooking to consider is, not only how many people are you cooking for, but what is your menu? Is there anything that you can cook in the Instapot or in your foodie or in your oven, so you can kind of free up the burners? In our RV, we have 3 burners, and you can't always fit the right size pan on the burners with all of the other pans always. And so one way to make it a little bit easier is we actually have a induction, like a cooktop, like one of those little plates that you can plug in. Mm-hmm. And so what we'll do is, like, for example, say I'm going to boil a pot of water. So I'll put the pot of water on to boil, set it to the side, and then I'll put something else on the burner. And so as I'm getting my meal ready, then I can kind of rotate through what needs to be done. The other thing is like, if you have an Instapot, if you have never made mashed potatoes in an Instapot, Dan, wink, wink, you might give it a try. You literally plug it in, put your potatoes in there. You could like even half them. You don't even have to like chop them, which is fabulous. And then it's like, I think 20 minutes and then they're done. it's amazing. So then that kind of eases up the burner uses as well, because then it's, giving the stove some more room so you can plug in, walk away from the potatoes, go back to the stove, make your stuffing or whatever. Another thing that I've found is really easy is I have not made homemade stuffing in years. And so we just grab a box of stovetop, boil the water, set it to the side. And then in the last couple minutes, then I can pour that stovetop box in there and then whip it up. And so it's not something that's taking room up on the stove. And so you're kind of playing this shuffle all the time. It's like, okay, I got to start here and I got to move this and then put the whatever in the oven. But like really being intentional about what you're making, how long the things take to cook, then you can have food come out hot at the same time without having to feel like, oh my gosh, I haven't made the mashed potatoes and the turkey's almost done. So that kind of helps to kind of even out the playing field of food that you're cooking, is to kind of try to diversify what you're cooking with and how it's going to get made and hot on the table.
That sounds like a great plan. And that has always been one of my things. First of all, I don't like to cook. When we talk about cooking, Dan's always done these big meals and he would make a list, even in our kitchen at home, like when he had to put the turkey in, when the mashed potato, it used to make me crazy, honestly. But
that was mostly for New Year's though, because our family tradition before we went on the road is New Year's Eve. I would cook a big time meal, usually with
beef Wellington. Don't say that because now I'm going to want it.
I know. But I would make all kinds of homemade stuff. And if you want them all to come out properly, you have to plan it.
I see that now. Yeah, I know that now. I would just
Thanksgiving is a little different. Yeah, you got to.
You still have to plan. You still have to do some planning.
Well, and one thing that we did on the road is we said, what do we really like to eat? What are we nostalgic for? What are the most important things? My kids don't love green beans. I do. So I made a small little container of it. And that was kind of like the last minute thing to get warmed up. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest things, like my kids like the turkey. They like mashed potatoes and a version of pie, whatever, chocolate or, apple or pumpkin or whatever, and homemade whipped cream. So for us, it was a lot more about honing in on what are the most important things that we want to cook. And also, what does mommy want to eat leftover? Because I always love green bean casserole and mashed potatoes leftover. Those are my two favorites. So
green bean casserole, Patty would fight you for it.
Yeah, the mashed potatoes, you could both have mashed potatoes. No, thank you. But the green bean casserole, I have actually put it in containers that people can't see what's in there to hide it from them. So that's another tip for our listeners who, need that meal and want to hide that.
Costco has ruined the world. And when it comes to apple pies, I mean, they make that holiday apple pie. It's really thick. It's really big. It's really
huge.
Expensive. It's $17-18.
No, it's not bad for a big apple pie.
Oh, okay. Whatever. I think that's expensive for an apple pie, but it's really good.
It is.
I mean, really.
Well, and I think that's a really great point is like, how much do you personally have to make versus go buy something of? So like, for example, this year we're going to be traveling and we're taking the RV, going to go visit family. And I'm responsible for desserts because I know I can pick up a pumpkin pie and apple pie, and I'm going to make a chocolate pie. So I'm not actually having to make the thing. Now, some people love to make all the pies. That's great. This year we have changed RVs because our last one was totaled in a hailstorm and it was in parking. So don't worry, we're fine. Just our beloved RV is not fine. And so we had to get a new one. And I haven't mastered cooking in this oven yet and all the temperatures. And so I don't want to have that stress. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to just buy the pies from the store. And so there's no shame in that game, Dan, especially if you're buying Costco apple pie. I might be right there joining you.
Yeah, they do a good job. Now, let's talk about something. And again, none of this is scripted, but I want to talk about it. Unexpected, the poop hits the fan. I guess I could say that on here, right? It's the same thing.
We call them situations. So
there you go. I love that. That is awesome. And I'm not even going to try and say that because I'll mess it up. But perfect, Robin. So now here people are planning the holiday dinner, the birthday dinner, special anniversary dinner. You're in an RV. It's way more complicated. You really have to be able to go with the flow. Just deal with these situations that come up, right? Like that's part of life, right?
Yeah. Cooking in our new rig, or new to us rig, the smoke alarm keeps going off when I literally cook anything. So sometimes you just have to take the batteries out. Other times it's like realizing that maybe you need to cook something outside or find another way to cook something when you realize your propane is out and it's a holiday and you can't get any more propane. Sometimes you go meet a neighbor and borrow something from them. So being able to roll with the punches, I think, is one of the best things about being an RVer. Is you become resilient and learn how to think and be creative to solve problems. And it's a great way to meet neighbors when you're like, hey, I didn't realize I was out of propane. So could I please come and cook on your grill for tonight if you really need to?
And I'd love that. We all have to have that mentality, that mindset.
And make sure that you camp near a Costco at that time of the year.
Right. Because worst comes to worst, if you said, hey, I had to go buy the pie or the mashed potato, I guess too, one of the messages here is go easier on yourself. I think the holiday tends to be stressful. And if we're in an RV, do we make it more stressful? So go easy on yourself, I guess, is what I want to tell our listeners, right?
Go easy on yourself. And I want to take a little survey. So if you would run over to our Facebook page and just say, yes, I have mine, or no, I got rid of it. I'm talking about that KitchenAid mixer.
Oh, goodness.
That does the mashed potatoes. You know, everybody has one. Every grandma had one. And that is the one thing that I just couldn't give up.
That's the one thing.
That's one of the things.
Really? Yeah. One of the things. Yes.
One of the
So I just want to clarify.
I'll tell you guys, I'm on the KitchenAid train or the kitchen mixer train myself. That was one thing I debated on taking in the rig. And we like whippy mashed potatoes, and the hand mixers for me didn't quite do it. So we kept ours, and we are very happy we did.
You're not helping Robin, because I was hoping you talk some sense to him and say, look, it's big, it's heavy. Thankfully, in our Monaco, we have lots of cabinet space. I mean, this thing has lots of cabinet space, but any new RV that we buy, Robin, you're just going to have to fly out when we buy a new RV, help us organize.
Yeah.
Well, and the reality is if you're using it, then there's no shame in keeping it. But if you're not using it, I think that's the biggest challenge is time to let it go to a good home.
Yeah. Oh, he uses it. He does use it. So
I say that about her and shoes and clothes. It's like, if you haven't worn them in the last year, like, it's time for them to go to a new home.
There you go. And then I wear them. So we're all good. Okay. But let's talk about something else now. We're getting into the holidays. Whatever holiday people celebrate, with holidays comes a lot of decorations a lot of times. First of all, talk a little bit about the people who lived in a house. We lived in a house. We celebrate different holidays. We had tubs and tubs of stuff, ornaments and candle, all kind. You name it.
Now,
we're
a little ahead of you. Our kids are grown up and have families of their own. But our kids didn't want any of these older decorations.
No, they really didn't.
None of them did.
They took some of them. But so let's first talk about the people who are looking to go from the home to the RV and downsizing the stuff. How do you even, when it comes to the holidays, how do you even tackle that?
That's a great question. So on my blog, I had written about downsizing. Specifically, it's called Downsizing 101. And I have a category that talks about organization. So it's really easy to find on my bgbarnstormer.com. So if you have a moment, you might pop over there. A couple of quick tips here. I have a 3-2-1 done. So make 3 piles. Like it, love it, leave it. If you like it, great. If you love it, great. If you don't like it or love it, leave it, get rid of it. You don't need it, right? I had even some favorite sentimental things that I was like, I'm not ready to get rid of this. And so it went in a tub. And so then I limited myself to like a tub or 2 for sentimentals that I was going to keep or whatnot. My second thing, so that's 3 piles. 2 is too many. I don't need 2 different types of bulbs or whatever for the tree or for the decorating or whatever. So you want to get rid of duplicates. I think that's the biggest thing is people are like, oh, I need all these things. Well, do you really want all of them or do you just like some of them? So kind of deciding like how many you actually want and getting rid of everything that is a duplicate. And then the other thing is like one area at a time. So for me, when I was downsizing from a house to get ready to go into the RV, I knew I really didn't want a Christmas tree. I have some suggestions on trees in a second for the rig, but specifically like I didn't have room for all the decor. So really the decorations that we took was our stockings, and we said we'd figure out a Christmas tree, which we did. And then I said, anything else, like, we're just going to get. So we got rid of all the yard decor, all the extra lights, all the things, because we really just didn't need it. I think the other thing about downsizing from a house is like, limit yourself to what you want to store. If you want 1 or 2 tubs, great. If you want 3 tubs, great. But in my opinion, a lot of times people don't want to set it all up and tear it all down and lug it up the stairs. And so you can have kind of like that less is more mentality. One thing that we did in the rig is we got a banner that said like Happy Holidays. And we put that up with a little bit of garland, and it was very festive and super easy to take down. And then for us, we stored ours in as a few Ziploc bags. And Patty, I sent you some pictures of some decor that we had that you might share. And I'd love to talk about trees a little bit more.
Yeah. Yep.
Trees. I love a Christmas tree. I used to get, these 15-foot Christmas trees and 12-foot ceilings. It's like, I loved my Christmas tree. And, the other day we were at a Costco somewhere. I have no idea where we were. I think we were near Dallas. I went over and I got one of their folding chairs, and I took it over to the tree aisle and I sat down for a few minutes, because none of them seem to work. I don't know where we would put a tree in our rig.
The tree would be put in the event center at the campground that we're staying at. That's where the tree would be. But
so
Robin,
I'm going to save you the trouble.
Ideas. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I have some things for you, Dan. So there's this thing called a pencil tree, and I sent Patty a link, or maybe.
Yes.
If I haven't sent it, I will send it. I think I did send it.
Yeah, you did.
But you can find them at a variety of stores. One of them I specifically found, it was like on Amazon, and it literally would fit in a very small, like, I don't know if it was a Ziploc or a very small space. And it's literally a pop-up tree. And it is, one of my friends had them, and they're beautiful. You can put lights on them, and you can pick your color if you want to have like green, or if you want to have white, or I'm sure there's lots of colors. And so that's a really great solution for people who really, really, really want to have that Christmas tree. So look for a pencil tree. The other thing, and I sent Patty a picture of this one already, is every year, like my kids were pretty little. And so they're like, Mommy, we want a tree. And I'm like, literally, there's no room for a tree. And so what we did is we put our tree on a vertical surface. So the first rig, we put it on a wall by our refrigerator. Our second rig, we put it on a door. And I got garland, and I just taped it to the door with painter's tape and made it in the shape of a tree. And then we used painter's tape to tape up our ornaments to it. Now, we don't have like glass ball ornaments. We have like flat ornaments. And so, some people have a variety of ornaments, but we taped up the ones that were flat. And then other ornaments that were sentimental, we could find a place around the home to kind of make it look holiday-like. But that was a really great, easy thing to do for a tree, especially for people who are thinking, where is it going to store? How much room is it going to take up? Which kind of brings me to my acronym for you. And since I know, Dan, you love like quick tips here, my acronym for holiday decor storage is actually the word tree, which stands for 3 things to consider. R is for reusable. Do you want to reuse it, or do you want to donate it and get something new next year? So like, you might want to go to the store and get a cute little tree at, the local grocery store, and then just donate it to somebody. So you, Dan, can have that real tree in your home, just like a little mini version. The first E is for easy. What's easy for you? Like I said, do you want garland? Do you want lights? Do you just want a door wreath? Or do you want a banner? And then the last one is evaporate. Where's it going to go when the season is over? So 3 things. Is it reusable? Make it easy. Make it evaporate. So
I love that. That is awesome. And I think that when people think about it, and that's why we wanted to do this podcast with you this time of year, is I'm sure people are starting to think about it, whether you're new or whether you drag stuff out and put it back and it's still a hassle. It's a lot of good stuff that you're talking about to take into consideration. A lot of great information.
And we found that really less is more. We don't enjoy having to take it all back down. So for us, whether it's a strand of lights or garland or a simple tree, like, we just really like the simple, and we enjoy spending the time together and, making hot chocolate and looking at lights or trees. So just keep it simple.
That sounds great to me.
You're killing me, Robin. You're killing me. We'll be back right after this.
Does dropping your motor coach off at the truck stop full of semi-trailers for new tires give you nightmares? Eliminate the unknown and get your new motorhome tires mounted while you watch at your campsite or wherever you are parked. Motorhometires.com takes care of the entire process for you. We come to you with your new tires, mount them, add balance beads, and we even dispose of your old tires. With motorhometires.com, you'll also enjoy great prices and new tires with guaranteed fresh date codes, and enjoy sweet dreams instead of truck stop nightmares with your friends at motorhometires.com.
Protecting your RV investment means being ready for anything. An extended RV warranty from Wholesale Warranties is the best way to make sure that if an RV failure happens, you can afford to get back to enjoying the RV life as soon as possible. RV warranties are available for motorhomes, fifth wheels, and travel trailers, new and used, across the U.S. Visit wholesalewarranties.com for a free personalized RV warranty quote today and hit the road with peace of mind tomorrow.
I got an idea. Listening to that commercial, I got an idea.
Uh-oh.
We got lots of storage room inside the tires of the RV.
No.
There's lots of storage room. It's just air in there.
No.
Oh, come on, guys.
You know, I neglected to mention something. You got me thinking on this commercial break that, I didn't mention you can also use storage under your couch or under your bed. And one thing, if you must have a million holiday decor decorations, is that you can get some of those under bed or under couch storage solutions as well. So I suppose if you've got room under the couch, you might be able to sneak a few more decorations in there.
Our space under the couch is already full.
And under the bed.
And under the bed.
With equipment. Yeah, all that cabinet space. You'd have to give up your mixer if you want extra. But again,
back to the mixer.
but it really goes back to what's the most important things and prioritizing from there. It's not going out and buying or taking with you 3 tubs of stuff and then stressing over it. No stress.
Maybe it's just donating it every year. And I think that's kind of the thrill in the hunt for me if I'm going to a secondhand store is like, what decorations can you find that are fun for this year? And then maybe you just donate them at the end of the season.
Yep, absolutely. And that's another great solution. But we're at the ending part of our show. And we want to ask you, Robin, if you'll stay with us to help us with our question of the week.
Absolutely.
Great.
That's great. This sound means it's time for today's question of the week, brought to you by Clear2O, your RV water solution, and their brand new product, Tank Fresh. I love that new product. They just came out with it at Hershey, and it is incredible.
It's incredible because one of the big reasons is Dan knows I am so sensitive to taste and smells. I guess I'm like a bloodhound. Okay, yeah, I said that. So when we thought about having our tanks cleaned with a cleaning company, they said they put bleach in it and they leave it there for 8 or 10 hours. I was like, no way, I can't do it. I can't have that smell of bleach. I can't leave the RV for that long. And then I know I'm going to be tasting it and smelling it every time I turn the water on. It just doesn't work for me. And then there we were in Hershey, and Keith, the owner, and he and his wife, Barb, again, wonderful people. This is what kind of people we like to connect with. And he said, no, you use Tank Fresh and you put it in the tank. It takes about 2 hours, all natural, no smell, rinses out. And I was very, very happy. I'm a very happy person. But let's get to the question of the week. And we sort of covered it, but we're going to take this question of the week, which is from Josie, and she is from Nebraska. I think they're part-time on the road. And she wants to know about storing things like those clothes that are a different season. And again, Robin, we asked you to stay and we're putting you on the spot, but this is the question. So I hope you have an answer.
Donate them.
Absolutely. That's one solution. That's for sure. I do know people actually that literally shop seasonally. Personally, I don't do that. That doesn't really work for me. I don't love shopping. And so for me, my biggest suggestion is have truly only what you need. For our family, we tended to have roughly a week's worth of clothes, and we would have, long sleeve, short sleeve, to layer up in the wintertime. We would have a vest and then like a long sleeve jacket and another long sleeve thing. But if you have truly only what you need and you're trying to figure out where to store the things, the best solution that I have personally found is we use, like I said, talked about before, those under couch or under bed storage things. You can also use those Ziploc, or they're not Ziploc, those bags that take the air out of your thing. I don't know what they're called.
They are.
You need a real vacuum
ones.
for those.
Yeah, they are
The
kind of
vacuum
Ziploc,
ones.
and then you suck them out. There are some I saw that has a little thing that comes with it that sucks the air out. I've also found just rolling the air out, but I know what you mean. And they do then zip at the top.
Yeah. And so some people, like for us, we actually had our very first winter in 2021. It was February 21 in Texas. We called it Snowvid because it literally snowed during the COVID and everything shut down. And we actually carried rain boots with us because we didn't have snow boots, and they served roughly the same purpose. So a creative solution we had is we put the kids' socks on, put like a Walmart sack or Dillon sack or whatever on the kid's foot, put their foot in the rain boot, and then we now had a roughly somewhat good snow boot so they could go and get wet. But then we didn't have an additional pair of boots. And so just kind of getting a little creative in some of your solutions might help you get rid of some of those extra things that you don't have, want, need, like, love to store. Another thing to think about is like if you're in a place that it does get cold and then it does get really warm and you do have to have the extra snow gear, like this, the ski gloves, the extra puffy coats, finding a way to have a tub or something that you can access, that you can put away, and just dedicating that space to it is really helpful. And specifically for that, I would probably put it like under a bed because you're not going to need access to it every single day. But when you need it, you need it. So you have to have it accessible. So that's my biggest suggestion, is to dedicate space and the items that you need, but also finding a way to, like you said, store it, like whether that's sucking the air out of it or putting it under a bed or something, trying to narrow down what you need and then making room for that under a storage space.
My favorite jacket in the entire world is a jacket that I got when I was working on a movie. And it's a really big, puffy.
Really big.
But it's the warmest jacket you'd ever want to put on. Yeah, it's a movie tradition that every time you do a movie, the whole crew gets a jacket. And, we get it on the last day usually, which didn't really make a lot of sense because we froze our asses off while we were shooting the darn movie. That jacket is so big, it literally takes up the space of probably 4 jackets in the closet. Right. But I could not give that jacket up. I had to have it. So we have that stuffed somewhere. But if I really needed it, there's no way I could ever find it.
Yeah, I probably know where it is. But yes, it got
Sounds like
up.
You need a vacuum sealer, man. That's a good Christmas present there, Patty. I won't tell you. Surprise.
There we go. Vacuum sealer sounds like a great idea for a lot of our RV listeners.
And in 2 weeks or so, right around Black Friday, we're going to do our holiday gift idea show for RVers. So we're going to come up and give you some discount codes and some coupons, all about the stuff that RVers really need and not stuff that they don't need at all.
When it comes down to gifts and stuff, that's a great time to upgrade to something of really great quality, or things like your fabulous coat that you love, but like maybe it takes up a lot of room. So you can find something that's great quality that takes up maybe less space, or just invest in that vacuum sealer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Vacuum sealer is on our way. Now, we are so excited to announce another thing that's on its way is our new advertising partner. Now, this company, we have used this company's product from day one. We actually got this product before we got our RV. And when we put that first tank of gas in it, we used the Open Roads fuel card. At the time, it was called something else, TSD, and they're going through some rebranding and stuff right now. But just recently in Hershey, at the Hershey RV show, we had the opportunity to meet the leadership team of this company. And we just clicked with them like we've known them for 100 years. Just love these people, love their spouses. I mean, we had some great time at that Harvest Host party with Gina's husband. Now, we're speaking about the Open Roads Fuel Program and their new product called the Toll Pass for the entire country.
Yes. So tolls, like when you go through tolls for us on the East Coast, we have Easy Pass, and Easy Pass covers the East Coast. If you're in Texas, it doesn't cover it. So we were recently in Texas. This is funny. Timing is everything. We met Gina and other people from Open Roads, and we are literally driving on a Texas toll road, and we don't have a pass, and I'm reading how much it's costing. And so we are looking, and like if it's $1.50, if it's a 75-cent toll, the not having a pass is over $1. It's like $1.50. So we get to where we're going, and Gina calls and she said, we've got this new program with a toll pass that covers the whole country. And I'm like, how great is that? How great is this timing? Just great people, a great company. And we can't wait to get the toll pass and tell you all about it. Having one pass is just amazing. Can't wait for that.
Well, I'll tell you what, it really is something, because here we are and we have an Easy Pass that we thought covered pretty much the whole country. We're driving into the Dallas area, and they have what they call the T Pass here.
Something like that, right?
It's called the T Pass. And well, it is what it is, but we don't have a T Pass, so we are going to get some fines.
I'm sure. I can't wait for that.
We went through with our Easy Pass.
Okay, so now let's go to the RV Pro Tip, brought to you by Patrick Buchanan. And these tips are always great tips.
New RV Life Trip Wizard customers are often surprised to see how many campgrounds are displayed on the map. To help narrow the selection of which campgrounds to add to your trip, use the Filters feature built into the research menu. You can filter based on your preference of park type, rating, reviews, hookups, amenities, price, and club memberships, just to name a few. Virtually every part of the RV lifestyle can be identified and filtered to show you the campgrounds, RV parks, state parks, and more that are important to you. You'll find much of the same filtering available on the RV Life Pro mobile app as well for those spur-of-the-moment journeys. Create your best RV trip with the best filtering available. I'm Pat Buchanan with your RV Life Pro Tip of the Week.
Thank you, Patrick Buchanan. Every week, Patrick comes to us with a pro tip for RV Trip Wizard, and it's always something we can learn from, even though we've been using it for 3 years. And I just want to thank Robin. Thank you so much for being on, giving us some amazing tips to get us through the holiday season.
Absolutely. So welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt. We are in Louisiana by Lake Charles. And we will be back with you next week at this same time.